Hello everyone and welcome to week 5 of Sense Rugby. We are already halfway through the program and I'm sure it's flown by. This week we are talking about our use of language, tone of voice, facial expressions and rhythm. I want to explain how you can use this to your and your child's advantage in other daily situations too. As a wider Sense Rugby team, we find this to be one of the most powerful tools to facilitate regulation, success with activities, and attention to task. But we also find it to be one of our most challenging skills to master as a team when we coach new staff members. As any parent, this is a skill that is well worth practicing. But as a parent of a child with additional needs or with differences in their language abilities, this is essential. To make a rather extensive topic simple for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to focus on 4 main areas, and we're going to start with less is more, demonstrate, don't explain. Using fewer words whenever you can when teaching a new skill is really important when your child has a language delay. Imagine your child only hears your very first instruction to practice this and show the rest. Focus on success first and then add the technique in. It doesn't have to look the way you want it to look the very first time. The second part of our 4 main areas is to focus on statements rather than questions. Have you ever noticed how within Sense Rugby, our staff hardly ever use questions when we give instructions? So our staff are trained to use "you can" or "it's time to" when we give a child an instruction. So to make this a bit more practical for you, rather than saying, "Can you come and stand on the dot now? Can you push the tackle bag?" we train our staff to say, "It's time to stand on the dot now," or "You can push the tackle bag as hard as you can." It's a simple change to the way you word instructions, but it tends to simplify things for our kids, and also it removes the fact that we're giving them an option or that it's an optional activity when we're trying to do something as a team. When you're giving an instruction at home, you can do the same thing and change it to "You can do your homework now, you can do this and that now," especially when it's a simple one-step instruction. I wouldn't recommend doing this to your husband though. The next part is to connect with your affect and your tone as your most powerful tool. What I mean here is affect, firstly, is how you use your facial expressions and tone of voice to portray an emotion. Any child will seek affect or an interaction with another person to see how their actions are affecting others. If they do something well, we might respond with excitement, a smile, and plenty of emotion in our eyes and face. We're very animated. If they misbehave, we tend to get loud and angry, but our face still has a lot of affect for kids, so it still uses a lot of animation. Kids have different needs for affect, and that's determined by a combination of their sensory and emotional needs. For example, a kid who is really sensitive, timid, and shy might need you to be relatively quiet, but still have a lot of affect and a friendly look on your face. We still need to be smiling and we still need to have a soothing voice, but we don't necessarily need to be over the top excited. You might have seen that mismatch in your child's needs and what someone is providing to them in situations where they may get really quite overwhelmed very quickly when someone's trying to interact with them, or where they seem to be taking a positive experience as a rather negative one because it's just too overwhelming for them. In contrast, kids who seem really lethargic and off into their own worlds might need a really high energy person with lots of affect to draw them into the interaction. Kids who are too high in energy might need a balance between the two. It all depends on that child. Affect is really essential when it comes to managing behavior and working on increasing your child's ability to interact with the world. Matching what they need will allow you to connect with the child and both to give an instruction that they'll take on, but also to make that very important connection with you and to form that relationship with someone. We also need to make sure that we are not giving too much affect to a behavior that we don't like. Some kids need so much affect, so if they are constantly getting that from us through negative behavior, it can sometimes be a way that they satisfy their own needs. You'll notice within Sense Rugby, we tend to not give much back to children when there is a behavior that we really don't want to continue. And it may look like we're trying to ignore that behavior, but in fact, we're trying to draw attention to the positive behavior by using a lot of excitement, a lot of affect, and not giving much attention to the negative behavior. Our own affect is also usually affected by our own emotions. So it's important to be able to step back when we're engaging with kids and make sure that what we are experiencing when we see certain behaviors isn't coming through in our use of affect with the children. The next thing I want to talk about is no one likes to be told what to do through someone else's language. So think about what's in it for the child. Put yourself in your child's shoes and try to relate your instructions to what they want from their experience. Find their drive, their motivation, and their purpose and make your instruction relevant to it. So for example, if you've got a child who won't get off the tackle bag and they really enjoy staying on there, try and make the instruction of what to do next relevant to them. So if you want another turn, you'll need to line up all one of the dots and your turn will come. If you have a child who may be really fearful around certain activities, you may want to give them options to do it in a different way that makes them feel in control and safe. So you may see this in the tunnel. Some of our kids find the tunnel very, very scary. So we word it to them in a way that makes it clear that we've put ourselves in their shoes once again. So, oh, the tunnel can be a bit scary. You can crawl over it. So changing our instruction to meet their need and to think about what's in it for them, but also what they might be experiencing in that situation. Finally, let's talk about using rhythm to learn and using our language in a rhythmic way to learn. A lot of the time, our therapists will try and sing, verbalize, or count when they're trying to teach a new skill. You can try and make it relatable to what the child is doing. So you might see therapists say, jump with 2 feet, jump with 2 feet, and using that rhythm in their voice to guide a child through the ladder, for example. We might use this in passing. So we may say things like, to Carly, to Jessie, to Emma, to Jake, to try and get that rhythm as a background to what your child is trying to learn. Rhythm is exceptionally powerful for learning coordination, so it's something that you can use throughout any activity that you're trying to learn at home too. It's also a really nice way to bounce backwards and forwards between your child when you're playing with them, so they have that feedback from you. So the rhythm of, the same predictable noise or facial expression that you have when they're trying to interact with you. Okay, that's the end of week 5. We'll catch you again next week.